What if humans stopped aging at 30, frozen in the fullness of their youth, forced to live in a world where time ceases to be a threat but becomes a burden? A revolutionary scientific discovery forever changes the course of humanity in 2048. A group of researchers in genetics and biotechnology, working on therapies to stop aging, achieved something unexpected, a treatment that completely halts the biological aging process in humans at the age of 30. The body, having reached its optimal stage of development and maturity, is frozen in time, free from degenerative diseases, without loss of vitality, no gray hair or wrinkles. The therapy, known as Tempus, transforms the world in just one generation. Now, the enigma is no longer how to live longer, but what to do with a life that extends for centuries, perhaps even millennia, without any physical change. The first to try the treatment are millionaires and scientists, who watch the results with awe and fear. Their bodies, after receiving the therapy, cease to show signs of aging. Their cells remain in perfect condition, and their appearance does not change over the years. Upon confirming the success of Tempus, the treatment begins to spread and soon becomes an accessible option for most of the global population. Stopping aging at 30 becomes not just a possibility, but almost a social expectation. For many, eternal youth seems like a dream come true. At 30, people are at the peak of their physical and mental energy. They have the knowledge and maturity to face life with confidence and the health and strength of a young body. By stopping aging, the world fills with people in their prime, full of vitality and energy. In the cities, the streets overflow with young adults who appear eternally in their 30s, working, studying, and living as if time were endless. However, the first consequences of this eternal youth soon arise. The economy and society begin to wobble as they discover that a population that no longer ages also stops dying naturally. Within just a decade, the planet begins to fill with people occupying jobs and homes with no possibility of renewal. Pension systems designed to support an aging population disappear completely. No one retires as the concept of retirement loses meaning. Jobs and opportunities become scarce, as the same individuals remain active for centuries, leaving little room for future generations. On a social level, relationships undergo profound changes. Families, without the life cycles that used to mark the succession of generations, find themselves stagnant. Parents, arrested at the same age as their adult children, experience a rupture in traditional bonds. Marriages, initially conceived for a lifetime, now face a potentially endless duration, leading couples to question the idea of a relationship that lasts for centuries. The very notion of "until death do us part" loses its meaning, and new forms of commitment emerge, more flexible and temporary. Society, unable to quickly adapt to this new reality, begins to experience generational and social conflicts. The few who, by choice or conviction, decide not to undergo Tempus age and die naturally, feeling increasingly isolated in a world where everyone else remains trapped in the same age range. Movements of resistance against eternal youth arise, with the so-called naturals defending the importance of mortality and the passage of time as essential elements of the human experience. As the years pass, unexpected problems begin to emerge in those who have stopped their aging. Physical immortality does not guarantee mental youth, and many people, after decades, experience a kind of existential fatigue. Time, which once was a limitation, now feels like a burden. Individuals, though young in appearance, face the challenge of staying motivated and finding purpose in a life that seems to stretch indefinitely. The first signs of this exhaustion manifest in a new wave of mental health issues related to the fatigue of immortality: depression, apathy, and disinterest in life. Therapy and mental wellness programs become the most sought-after services. Many begin to seek new ways to experience life, adopting different identities and occupations every few decades in an attempt to find something that inspires them. The concept of changing lives takes on a literal meaning. Some decide to start anew every 50 years, moving to other cities, adopting new names, erasing the past in an effort to find new meanings. As the years go by, authorities face a drastic decision. The planet cannot sustain a humanity that does not age. Overpopulation and resource shortages become critical problems. In response, new regulations arise, and the government establishes strict limits on birth rates, allowing children to be born only under special permits. Reproduction becomes a privilege few can access, and the experience of being a parent becomes a rarity, available only to those who commit to raising their children in a world without changes. To counteract the saturation of cities, Governments also promote programs for planetary residency, sending colonists to Mars and space stations where immortality is almost a requirement to endure isolation and life in extreme conditions. But even in these new worlds, the psychological wear of eternal youth remains a challenge, and many of these colonies become cold and desolate, inhabited by people seemingly searching for a sense of existence without finding answers. Amidst this new normal, a counterculture known as the ephemerals begins to emerge, a generation of young people who, inspired by the beauty of mortality, reject the eternity of Tempest. The ephemerals advocate for the value of a limited life, arguing that finitude provides purpose and meaning. These individuals refuse to undergo the treatment and embrace life with the certainty that time will run out, just as their ancestors did. Although many consider them radical, the ephemerals inspire deep reflection in society. Gradually, some begin to question their decision to freeze themselves in time. People who have lived for centuries in their eternal youth wonder if it is possible to reverse Tempest and allow their bodies to age naturally again. Scientists, faced with social pressure, investigate ways to undo the treatment and discover that, although complex, there are methods to restart aging, albeit not without risks. In an unexpected twist, some choose to undergo a therapy that allows them to resume aging, accepting wrinkles and fragility as part of a complete life experience. For them, the return to aging represents liberation, an opportunity to feel the passage of years once more and to live with the certainty that time is limited. The first to resume their aging are hailed by the ephemerals as heroes, and their stories become inspirations for a new philosophy that values life for its brevity rather than its duration. Thus, society begins to split into two paths: those who continue to embrace eternal youth and those who, by accepting mortality, find a new sense of meaning in the end of their story. In this world, time, once seen as a curse, becomes a privilege for those who choose to age. Humanity, faced with an eternal life without change, rediscovers that purpose and meaning often arise from fragility and transience. Ultimately, the story of immortality becomes a lesson about the value of mortality. Is aging truly something we should avoid, or is it, instead, the teacher that gives us appreciation for every moment?